Go ahead, guys. Nothing?
Well, did the film, did you have to, you probably knew what the film was going to show. Did it show the same things that you?
Yeah, we still got beat. But in all seriousness, we did not play well. They played very well. And, I go back, if you look at the game in its totality, when we were sitting 18-14, I think is what the score was at the half, the first half went, I would say, according to what I would have thought it could have happened. And we were in what I felt in good position at halftime. It came out in the second half, and we've had the ball because we deferred the flip, and we need to make that drive. That turnover hurt, but it wasn't the game. It was we make the drive, and we should have went back. Should have been 25-21 with the catch in the end zone. And at that point, so now you go back and you start looking at the what-ifs, and the what-ifs were the 2 missed field goals and the drop catch in the end zone. So there's minimum 10 points there, and you could have been 25-21 or 20, whatever, 25-24. So you had those opportunities, and you got to make those opportunities happen in that type of game and that type of setting. So, yeah, and that was all the way through the third quarter. And then when you get in the fourth quarter, that's when it unraveled, and that's when, you're trying to make things happen because now you're short on time. So you're trying to do some things a little bit uncharacteristic, and that's when, it explodes on if you don't make it happen. So ultimately, that's what I saw is the first 2 quarters were good. Wouldn't say great, they were good. And then the third quarter, we did not make the plays, and in the fourth quarter, it unraveled.
These things could go hand in hand at times, but you've spoken before after the Iowa State game about how the defense's endurance was good. When it comes to what happened in the second half, do you think it was more lack of execution, missed execution, or endurance? I understand how those can kind of come together, but North Dakota State's known for their ability to wear opponents down. So
The more I'd say is on that that happens when you really watch how it happens. It's more so when you got to lead in the game. You got to be within a score of every game, and that's how you play these teams. Is you want to be within 1 possession every down. As soon as you get 2 possessions with the way they handle their offense and the time they're always a winning time of possession, then it becomes a continual hammering of 22 personnel, 11. They'll take their 3 yards, they'll take their 4 yards, and then you get a little bit more wear and tear. So I don't know if it's fatigue as much as mental frustration fatigue, as much as the physical. Because man, you get 30 seconds in the huddle, how much more time you need? Everybody plays no huddle now, and you run around all over the place. This style is different, and that's why they're different than people, because there's only a few teams that play that style anymore. So we don't match up in that probably as well as what we did years ago because of the spread type stuff. But at the same time, we still should have done better against it. There's no question about that, and that's why I wasn't even pleased with the first half, even though we did good. We should have done a lot better because you need to win 1st and 10. You need to put them in a passing situation, but we never controlled the run. And since we never controlled the run, we never controlled the game.
Coach, I think somebody pointed out the other day that the last time you lost a game by this margin, you went on to play in the national title game. Well, how did that happen, and what sort of lessons, from that season can you apply to this football team?
Well, you just, I don't look. What do I apply? Man, I've got 1,000 answers to that, but the one I'll say is you really got to take a step back and really look at your plan, look at your execution, and don't get. It's never as bad as you think it is, and never as good as you think it is. So it puts you in a position that you really got to take a step back and look at it through a clear vision instead of when it's right on top of you, and take a step back and look at the big picture. And that's really what I've done the last couple of days, is just try to figure out, as we get ready for this next football game and for these next 6 games, what do we need to do today, as much as each day progressing forward, to take from this game what we need to learn from. I don't know if that answers it, but
Along those lines, that happened in 2005 in that loss at Illinois State, like 38-3. Then Sanders, sophomore quarterback, and then you rattled off like 7 straight wins all the way to the title game. Do you remember, did you make a bunch of changes, or
No.
did that team just kind of have a come to Jesus moment, or because they were really good after that kind of shellacking of a loss in 05?
yeah, no, you guys hit it right on the head. You're going down the right path, in my opinion, because I don't think you have to make marquee changes here. The changes that have to be made is more of the ability to see what happened and not react in a way that you have to do something extreme. You just have to see what happened, understand why it happened, so you can correct that technique, that coverage, that whatever. You know me, man. I hate to give up more than 20 points on defense, period. So if you get 25, you've got too many. And and everybody thinks they're going to score 50 nowadays. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to take what we have and, number one, make the corrections in technique, but number two, make the corrections in scheme to play to the strength of the way we're playing right now.
You mentioned in your post-game comments Saturday that you thought Will played good. The offense was good in the first half. Certainly they would have liked to have done more in the second half, but a game like that, an environment like that against that opponent, you said before you can learn more from a loss than you can from a win at times. How productive could that be, as bitter as it might be to accept because you lost, that the offense is close and seems like it's continuing to make progress with Will?
Yeah, we're only projecting now. That's why I think we got to stay away from projecting what can happen. Is what are we going to make happen? And I think that's what we really need to take a step back and not try to match what's been done before. Have some great vision. The thing we need to do is understand what happened, get an understanding of what we should have corrected during that game, and then how do we start moving forward after looking back at what's on film right now for all our games. How do we make the adjustments, like you said, for the rest of the season, not just this game, because everything's going to keep coming up when you we play in a very good league, so it's going to continually the same plays, the same deals. Everybody's going to try to magnify the areas that were worked over a little bit. So we have to make sure that we clean those things up, and I have to clean them up schematically as much as technique-wise.
You mentioned also earlier in the week that this might be a bit of a learning experience for some of your new young coaches in that environment. You've got some tough road games ahead. What did maybe they come back with after being in that environment, and what they learned as a group?
It's kind of like playing, what they should have learned and what you can learn from is, what did you do during that game to help solve the problems as they were evolving? And go back and evaluate yourself, and what did you do to stop the bleeding, or what did you try to get done, or did you get caught up in the fray like playing the game where you just keep going and play harder? Sometimes it isn't play harder, it's play smarter. And that's in particular that we all can learn from, because we all get caught in the fray sometimes of in the game, and really you got to find a way to see what's going on so you can adjust and stay ahead of the game. And that's probably the hardest thing to do when you're caught in that environment, because it's easily you get caught up in everything that's going on, because it goes very fast in the heat of the deal. So yeah, if you can learn from that, and if you can slow the game down as a coach on the sideline or a coach in the box, did we get as much out of the box as what we should have? And if we didn't, then let's make sure that we correct that as much for games to come for a young coach or a young player, or for that matter, an old coach. It doesn't matter. We all got a chance to learn. So apply it and make it worth our time.
You guys hobbled off, but it didn't seem like there's anything serious. Where's the injury front?
Soko's probably, I would guess that Soko is probably done for the season, and he's probably the only one right now. that's a little bit of a guess, but I think I'm sure enough to say it. So the rest have a chance to come back this week, but I would guess that he might be done.
Lower body then?
Yeah.
You touched on the missed catch in the second half that would have made it 25-21, Jalen's
Mm-hmm.
miscatch. He's the type of guy as a senior, I expect that you kind of just pat him on the helmet because you got full confidence in him
Mm-hmm.
to come back and make that play next time.
He's as critical of himself as anybody is in that situation. So, yeah, we needed to make that play, but there's other plays around that field that could have been made by a lot of other people. So I point to that sequence of events because it does factor into the next sequence of events. How do you overcome that? How do you stay in rhythm? And that's why you need to, you need to make as many of those plays as you can. And if you don't, then you have to have the poise to live through that, to come back and counter it. And, we missed the kicker after that. So again, if we get to 3 points, it's still a good deal. But so when you gave up a sequence of plays there, and you don't want to. It's not their fault in the game, but yet at the same time, it was that sequence of plays that did factor into moving forward.
And what, if anything, do you do with your freshman kicker this week? Do you take him aside at some point and just let him go practice?
No, he's the biggest thing. I told him on the sideline even after the second one. He goes, the biggest thing is whether it's Jalen's drop or my call or the missed kick. You all got to go back and just say, all right, did I do anything to correct it for the next time? Or did I just think I was going to go out there and fix it because I got the second chance at it? He just as in the catch, what was that sequence? Just take your eyes off it right at the last second, don't, or what happened in that instance. Same way in the kick, was it a snap, was it a catch, was it the hold, or was it your target? And to me, kicking is probably the toughest thing for me to coach, but I do know this, that every time that kicking to me is a lot like golfing, is that swing can change a little bit each day, each quarter, each round. And if whatever that swing is that day, he's got to be able to correct it as he progresses through the game. So after the first one, I get it. But the second one, did you make a correction? If so, maybe you overcorrected, or did you do anything or just think that you're going to hit it because you got a second chance? Those are the things I want him to learn from, is what's going on in your mind. Walk off the field, and I can remember what it felt like, what it looked like, and then tell me what's the correction, if any, that needed to be done.
It looks like you got a competent South Dakota team coming in after kind of a so-so non-conference part of their schedule. What are they doing better, different to get out to this 2-0 start in conference play?
They got on a run here. I think I think after the Houston Baptist game, the way it appears to me, the big, 52-51 or something like that. And I think after that, they just seem more consistent after that game. And defense is new. Defense is very aggressive. Looks like they have some very good players on it that maybe I didn't see last year. Looks like there's a lot of transfers and a lot of guys that can run. So it's a much different looking defense than last year. Offense looks similar to last year. Simmons, the quarterback, I think is playing very good right now. Mobility is very good, and he's made himself, a better quarterback through his mobility. So I think that's what I've seen that I thought was different from last year, just watching it once or twice.
So Trevor come up a little lame late in the second half. What's his status for Saturday?
He is questionable, probable in that category right there. So as I sit here right now, I would expect him to play, knowing Trevor, but I can't say that he will because he's in that. We'll see what happens when we get back in the field on Tuesday.
This has always been a tough game for you and I after playing North Dakota State. If you kind of look at it, it's just a tough physical game. Do you back off a little bit this week? How do you approach it with another quality opponent in South Dakota?
To that part, I will think that out before I go to the field tomorrow, because you made me think on that one. But we can't afford to back off. I think that we need to maybe press them because of that last game. Because if we back off, we accept that there's something to do with backing off will help. No, to me, it's get back to the field as soon as we can, and take the demeanor. It's not about changing or hollering or doing something like it. It's about getting back to the basics and getting back to the fundamentals and running what we trust and know works. Man, we're talking like that too. I'm sitting there, we're 18-14 at the freaking half, and we should have been 25-21 at the third quarter. But because of a couple sequence events, and that's what happens, it unravels on you very quickly in that situation. And that's where we got to be careful with the players, because we could get like that mode just like I got, but man, you snap by a little bit too. You can look at it two different ways here. We just got to make sure we look at it in the correct way for our players so we can get better this week. Right.
When you look at facing South Dakota, and do you look at that film where Houston Baptist scored 53 on them, or do you look at them, holding a couple of conference foes down to little to no points, to see what those teams did against their defense?
Well, of course, you look at Houston Baptist, but I think after you see a 3-game run that they've had, it's a different team. I mean, the first 3 games, they were probably getting used to the defense, new coordinator, and they played Oklahoma and Houston Baptist, so both of those two are going to roll up some numbers on you. But when you got back and settled down and cleaned up what you were doing, then stabilized it and then started having success, now the players are much more sound and probably playing a lot faster than what they were, maybe even going back to the Oklahoma game. So, no, they're good. I watched them against Oklahoma. They did some good things. That's kind of a personnel check to see what they look like against what we know is an elite player. And they've got very good personnel when I watch them. I mean, they're holding up against some very good players that we know are good players. So now you look at the system they run, and Coach Nielsen, always got a lot of respect for him because he always puts a good plan together. Okay? Thanks, guys.